Government Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B5 2025.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Local Government, Minister Bredell.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to table the adjustment budget for Vote 14, local government for the 2025-2026 financial year. Local government is where the residents interact with government, and we need to get service delivery right at this level. If we want residents to continue trusting this administration and our overarching strategic priorities of growth, jobs and safety. Speaker, we are entering our summer season and already our Disaster Risk Management Centre is in full swing with coordinating and supporting firefighting efforts together with our larger firefighting community and partners. Speaker, allow me to thank and confirm our gratitude from all of the members in this House to the men and the women who will be on the front line this summer. They are risking their lives so that the rest of us can be safe. We can disagree about many things, but on this, I am sure we will all agree. It is also my wish and my prayer that all our firefighters will remain safe and that we do not see any serious injuries or fatalities. Speaker, many of our municipalities have already instituted water restrictions to be proactive in ensuring water security for their residents. These and many other essential services can only be delivered if municipalities are stable and correctly resourced. Allow me to thank HOD Graham Paulse and his team, entire staff complement at the department for working hard and being committed during the past year to provide this support to our local authorities. 2026 will see people heading to their voting stations for local government elections. Past experience has taught us that local government instability levels increase as councillors prepare to participate in elections and want to ensure inclusion in the next term of office. This places extra pressure on this department and its staff to provide adequate support and to see to it that service delivery continues. Speaker, the original budget of 440 million for the Department of Local Government is adjusted with an amount of approximately 7 million rand to 433 million. Some of the larger numbers includes 3.1 million is reallocated to the 2026-2027 financial year to fund the energy specialist providers. 4.9 million reduction is made on compensation of employees due to the slower than anticipated filling of posts. This money is reallocated in the 2026-2027 financial year for municipal support and post-local government election support, and for the relocation of the audio-visual equipment for the Disaster Management Centre, which is in the process of finding a new address. Speaker, rollovers from the 2024-2025 financial year includes 540,000 rand for the procurement of laptops and 3.3 million rand for the replacement of the audio-visual infrastructure at the disaster centre. Speaker, allow me to wish the management and all the staff a well-deserved holiday season. Even when I say this, I know that some of us will be working hard during this holiday as our Southern Cape coastal region is challenged by a drought while also amid a bumper holiday season. It is during times like this or like these that management issues are placed under the spotlight, and I am therefore grateful to be able to count on my HOD Graham Paulse and his team that always steps up when called upon. I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister. I recognize the Honourable Stoffel.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I rise with a deep sense of concern because this adjustment budget for Department of Local Government lays bare a troubled picture. A department that is shrinking its ability to support municipalities precisely the moment when local government in the Western Cape is experiencing its greatest instability in years. The main appropriation of 440 million has now been reduced to 432 million, a cut of 7 million. Speaker, this reduction does not exist in a vacuum. We are heading into an election year, and many of our municipalities are already buckling under political instability, hang councils, financial mismanagement, and deteriorating service delivery. The critical question is this: how will the department ensure that these reductions do not further undermine its ability to support municipalities already in a crisis? These cuts reinforce exactly the concerns we raised during the annual report process: persistent underspending, chronic delays in recruitment, and an inability to fill the essential technical and governance posts. These are not administration matters. These are factors that directly undermine service delivery at community levels. Speaker, the department once again present us with rollovers 3.7 million for the delayed procurement of laptops and long overdue audiovisual upgrades at the Disaster Management Center. The same excuses appear every year: delayed procurement, slow infrastructure upgrades, and unresolved bottlenecks. We must now ask, what exactly is causing these delays, and what concrete systems will be implemented preventing this recurring pattern? Because the disaster management is not an optional function. It is a lifeline for communities confronting fires, floods, droughts, displacement, and climate shocks. We are told again that compensation of employees decreases by 6.2 million, a direct result of vacancies the department has failed to fill for yet another year after year. Funds meant for engineers, disaster professionals, planners, and governance specialists are pushed into future years because recruitment simply does not happen. What is the plan to finally address this? What is the plan to accelerate recruitment instead of perpetually postponing it? Program 3, Development and Planning, surrenders 3.8 million meant for water and waterway support programs explicitly designed to help municipalities withstand the impact of load shedding and failing infrastructure. These funds were returned to the Provincial Revenue Fund because the department could not fill specialist posts and could not attract the scarce skills required. Speaker, we must ask, how does this province, with municipalities on the brink of water system collapse, fail to build or attract the technical capacity required for survival? The adjustment budget further reveals other reductions amount to 10.8 million. These are alarming because, first, disaster management already suffers serious implementation delays. Secondly, water and waste infrastructure is failing in multi-municipalities. Scarce skill shortage are now so severe that they are formally acknowledged as barriers. Program 4, Traditional Institutional Management, so expenditure increases tied to the policy priority finding for new appointments under the Traditional Khoisan Leadership Act. But it raises another question: how will the department ensure that these functions are not weakened by the broader resource constraints affecting the entire department? Transfers and subsidies tell an equally worrying story. Expenditures for the first half of the year set at only on 4.1 million, a shocking 87% decline compared to the same period last year. The reason: delayed transfer to municipalities due to the late tabling of 2025 provincial budget. This has really consequences. Municipal projects stall, capacity support pauses, and infrastructure funding is delayed. The department must tell us how it will improve timelines, strengthen in monitoring, and ensure municipalities receive support they need when they need it. This because does not suggest that they improve. Speaker, with these factors, we reject adjusted budget. It reduces capacity where capacity is already failing. It delays support where support is desperately needed. And it reflects a department unable to correct long-standing institutional weaknesses. I thank you.
Baie dankie, agbare Stoffel. I now recognize the Honourable Constable.
Speaker, Member Constable is not well at the moment. He's on his way to the doctor, but we reaffirm our previous position. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have somebody that will do it on his behalf? I will allow that if or can we
Speaker,
continue?
we just reaffirm the previous position.
All right, thank you very much. I then recognize Honourable Lita Kong. Die achtbare Maree.
Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus supports vote 14 on local government department. And we note the comments by the minister in terms of the decrease. We also note the challenges that remains due to slower than anticipated filling of posts, as the department has to compete for a scarce availability of skills, which contributes to the reduction on compensation of employees and the reallocation of funds to the 2026-27 financial year. Municipalities are the engine rooms of basic service delivery that directly impacts the lives of thousands on a local level. And where the Freedom Front Plus is in coalitions, there are stability and there is uninterrupted service delivery. We therefore reaffirm our support and wish all our firefighters a good and a strong and a safe festive season. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Bryant.
Speaker, today I rise in support of vote 14. There can be no disputing the fact that no other province comes close to the Western Cape when it comes to improving and maintaining the quality of local government. This DA government, and in particular the leadership of Minister Anton Bedell, has led to a situation where 15 of the top 20 municipalities are located in one province. A large part of the ongoing success comes from the strong working relationships between DA-led local governments and the provincial administration. Sadly, this is not the case everywhere. Let's first have a look at Kannaland. This is a municipality where debt hasn't just risen, it has exploded to 109 million rand, up 32% in a single year. Along with this, their Eskom debt is spiraling and services are collapsing, all while corruption allegations gather dust.
Honourable Brian, please take your seat. Honourable Syed, is that a point of order?
Is Honourable Brian willing to take a question?
I will ask Honourable Brian, are you prepared to take a question?
No.
Honourable Brian, before you continue, can I just conclude the point of order?
Yes.
Honourable Syed, Honourable Brian is not prepared to take a question. Honourable Brian, you may continue.
Eskom debt is spiraling and services are collapsing, all while corruption allegations gather dust on the desks of national bodies that seem unable or unwilling to act. This is the price, the inevitable price of years of mismanagement by the ANC, ICOSA, and the KIP. It's the politics of convenience, Speaker, not conviction. Politics that leaves communities abused and abandoned. Up until recently, the Western Cape government was providing water tankers from Oudtshoorn to help with ongoing water shortages in Kannaland. But we recently found that the Kannaland municipality, in direct contravention of its own water restrictions, has been using the municipal drinking water that should be quenching the thirsts of local residents to fill up an old, leaky municipal swimming pool. Speaker, then there's Knysna, a place of extraordinary beauty, of extraordinary potential, that has been brought to its knees by an unstable ANC-led coalition incapable of governing itself, let alone the municipality. raw sewage flowing into the streets and waterways, water supplies failing, not occasionally, but repeatedly, leaving families without the most basic necessity of life. Infrastructure is neglected until it breaks, and then it's ignored until it fails. And I've seen with my own eyes rows and rows of broken water pumps that the municipality simply refuses to fix. This is a municipality that's become so dysfunctional under the ANC-led coalition that the Western Cape government was forced to step in an attempt to protect the residents. But as we know, Speaker, when this government attempted to place the municipality under administration, the ANC used its majority on the NCOP committee to block this critical intervention. But all they succeeded in doing was cutting off their nose to spite their face. The situation has only gotten worse, and the people of Knysna are suffering more than ever. Tourists arriving in Knysna this festive season are met with even more water cuts, refuse issues, and collapsing roads. In a town that relies so heavily on tourism for jobs, this ANC-led neglect is destroying lives and opportunities for the people of Knysna. Now contrast this, and contrast is important because as the residents of Knysna and Cunnaland have discovered, it's local residents who choose their municipal governance. And sometimes people do make the wrong choice. So let's look at Cape Town, where jobs are being created through major infrastructure investment and a clear, compelling vision for growth. Look at Stellenbosch, pioneering energy independence, the first municipality in the country to shield parts of its community from load shedding through innovation and partnership. We look at George, Drakensberg, Swartland, Overstrand, councils that deliver clean audits, consistent service, well-maintained infrastructure, safe neighborhoods, and functioning economies. And what links them, Speaker? It's not geography, it's not luck, it's leadership. Because where the DA governs, communities move forward. Where the ANC and their partners govern, communities fall behind. This is a simple and an undeniable fact. And this budget provides the much needed tools and resources so that we can continue to deliver quality oversight and opportunities to all the people of the Western Cape, especially those currently suffering under ANC-led coalitions of chaos. That's why I rise today to support the vote, proudly, confidently, and with a deep sense of responsibility to all the people of the province. Thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare Bryant. I recognize the Minister, Minister Bredell.
Yeah, thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, to Member Stoffels, just very quickly. The one thing of the DA is that I will rather roll over the money than steal the money. So when we don't spend the money, it stays in the budget and we will use it next year, like the video wall within the disaster center, because it's very simple. We're going to shift the disaster center. So it will be stupid to spend millions of rand and then redo it because we work with taxpayers' money. So we respect that. The late tabling of the budget was very simple. It was national who shifted the dates, so we had to shift as well. But yeah, no use we try and explain those kind of things. I want to thank the members who support the budget for participating, because they don't just support it, they interacted with it within the Standing Committee. And I want to thank the chairperson of the Standing Committee, Dave Bryant, for really understanding his oversight role, keeping pressure on us, but also working with us to make municipalities a better space. We all work towards better governance, to secure dignity for our people, and he and his team, and thank you for your leadership in the Standing Committee, myself and the department, really not respect you only as a chairperson, but we also value your contributions. And then lastly, allow me to thank my ministerial staff under the leadership of Marius Durant for their continuous support and helping me to get wherever I must be within this province to support the residents. With that, I table the budget and I thank you all.
Baie dankie, agbare Minister. Thank you very much to all the members. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. The Secretary will read the 7th order of the day.
Debate on Vote 3, Provincial Treasury, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B5 2025.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Minister of Finance, Minister Baartman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, people of the Western Cape. Today I present the 2025-26 adjustment budget for Vote 3 Provincial Treasury under a theme that speaks to the heart of our work. If we want our province to scale for growth, then as a Treasury, we need to scale to save money, and making it easier to get our people home for dinner. This theme reflects the discipline, innovation, and efficiency that have come to define the work of the Treasury's performance this year. This adjustment comes at the end of a year in which the Treasury's had to keep a steady hand on the province's finances, despite national budget delays, rising input costs across the system, and the continued pressure of population growth. Even with this, we have worked hard to protect the services residents rely on and to strengthen the financial management capacity of the Western Cape government. Despite national uncertainty, the Provincial Treasury stepped up and without panic or uncertainty in the provincial system, delivered a 2025-26 main budget of 270 billion rand, not once, but twice. We launched the Western Cape Government's Alternative and Blended Finance Framework, which aims to crowd in additional financing over the medium term by leveraging partnerships with private investors, including impact investors, development finance institutions, multilateral development banks, and donor organizations. And we continue our collaboration with the National Treasury and the World Bank to establish a blended finance risk sharing platform, a credit guarantee vehicle, which aims to mobilize private capital by de-risking critical projects in the energy, transport, and water sectors. In addition to this, the Treasury produced the 2025 Provincial Economic Review and Outlook and increased our virtual engagement with residents. We will be publishing our second annual local government budget performance overview next week, which gives insight into the financial health of our local governments. Our 2024-25 public disclosure report on procurement revealed a possible world-first milestone. 34% of all Western Cape government procurement spend went to women-owned businesses, totaling 6.84 billion rand, having breached the National Treasury 30% benchmark for the first time in Western Cape government history. Premier Windy and I have thus written to the UNDP, UN Women, and the World Bank to verify this achievement. This comes amid our Constitutional Court challenge to the Public Procurement Act, which currently centralizes procurement control with the National Finance Minister. The Western Cape is defending provincial government's right to design our own systems that drive economic growth and jobs. Our results show that our inclusive procurement model works without set-asides or mandatory subcontracting, while delivering strong value for money outcomes. We did this not by excluding people from our economy, but by growing our pool of suppliers. Treasury's commitment to excellence is further reflected in its 12th consecutive clean audit and auditing support to the province, as shown by the unqualified audits across all 14 provincial departments and 11 entities for the third year running. At municipal level, 26 municipalities received unqualified audit opinions, including 20 clean audits in the previous cycle. These results show what disciplined financial management and good governance can achieve. We supported departments in accessing budget facility for infrastructure and disaster funding and successfully lobbied for data updates to the Provincial Equitable Share Formula, which affects the national transfers to our province. We protected our reserves and diligently managed our cash, simultaneously gaining another clean audit for our Provincial Revenue Fund. And we have raised our own provincial revenue, which now constitutes 6% of our full funding envelope. Our expertise is now in demand nationally as well. We partnered with National Treasury to host the first ever National Annual Financial Statements Consistency Workshop aimed at strengthening municipal reporting across South Africa. And we continue our support of Theewaterskloof, Kannaland and Beaufort West municipalities with their financial recovery plans. Honourable Speaker, our work does not end here. In order to save money, make money and ensure our people get home for dinner, there is still a lot more work ahead of us. The Provincial Treasury's main appropriation of 359.755 million rand is now proposed as 334.421 million rand in the adjustment budget. This is not a cut, but a technical realignment to the 2026 MTF budget. It consists of an increase of 1.247 million rand in rollovers, which is 742,000 rand rolled over from the 24-25 financial year to settle outstanding payments for information and technology services delivered in March 2025 in order to modernize access to financial management data and strengthen our data analysis capabilities. and 505,000 rand rolled over from the 24-25 financial year to settle outstanding payments for services rendered in February and March 2025 for analytical and technical support for our supply chain management, data, and information management strategy, which assisted with enhancing our procurement insights across our province. Further, we will adjust 26.581 million rand downwards, consisting of realigning 1.822 million to our 26-27 financial year for 2 strategic posts in order to develop and implement an institutional funding and change strategy. We will shift 8.753 million rand to the Department of the Premier to assist us in aligning our provincial treasury structure to our approved strategic plan and to facilitate job evaluation of posts at our Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. This will support us in particular with our alternative and blended finance as well as our revenue strategy work. We will realign 7.5 million rand to our 2026 MTIF to fund the appointment of expert support for the implementation of alternative and blended finance framework to advance our objectives in mobilizing sustainable and scalable financing solutions. We will shift 4.369 million rand to the Asset Finance Reserve to enable the future appointment of technical expert support from the infrastructure panel of experts. We will realign 3.745 million rand to our 2026 MTIF to fund the shortfall in the cost of Microsoft licenses allocated to the department and additional licenses required. We will reallocate 215,000 rand to the 26-27 financial year for electronic supply chain management integration or ESCM integration and single sign-on for the procurement planning toolkit, Western Cape Supply Evidence Bank, and electronic procurement system. And we will reallocate 117,000 rand to the 26-27 financial year for the March 2026 interdepartmental claimback from the Department of the Premier for the Municipal Standard Chartered of Accounts consultant. We will also be using 1 million rand from our unallocated funding in our grants for our bursary program, because we need to pay for registration tuition fees for the new academic year for our bursary program in municipalities. And we will also be adding 2.5 million rand, which we'll be using from unallocated funding in our grant for the implementation of the Theewaterskloof intervention. Looking forward to the MTIF, we will now scale our ability to make money, save money, and get our teams home for dinner. We will secure additional capacity to assist with legal, deal-making, risk and compliance, and procurement specialists in order to land on-balance sheet alternative and blended finance deals in our province and support departments in leveraging off-balance sheet instruments like BFI, grant, and donor funding. We will modernize our e-procurement solutions or EPS over the MTIF, fully digitizing the end-to-end procurement process from planning to payment. And we will restructure our department in order to build a future-fit, revenue-focused treasury in order to support departments to accelerate delivery. Speaker, this budget reflects the department saving money through discipline and prudent decision-making, making money through innovation and partnerships, and organizing ourselves so that our people can work well and still get home to their families in time for dinner. It also shows a provincial treasury committed to fairness, innovation, trust, and value for money. We apply those principles to ourselves before expecting them of anyone else. The work of a treasury is often unseen, but its impact is felt in hospitals, in our classrooms, our road networks, our municipalities, in every service the Western Cape government delivers. Honourable Speaker, for your consideration and for this House's consideration, I table the 2025-26 adjustment budget for Vote 3 Provincial Treasury. I thank you.
Baie dankie, agbare Minister. I recognize the Honourable Nkondlo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I'm not sure what's happening with the MEC of Finance. We really miss her in the House. It's good to talk to her when you see her. And I think, Honourable Speaker, also maybe we should suggest that when we go for SONA early next year, We also, for the sake of Member Vessels and also Member Van Wyk, we visit Thembaletu so that we can assist them to understand the province that they are public reps for, to see the sewage and the potholes, that seemingly they've never seen, and it would be an embarrassment for them as members of this House not to have that particular experience. Having said that, Honourable Speaker, the ANC notes the adjustment downward of vote 3 provincial treasury to the amount of about 25.3 million, with 1.2 million towards outstanding payments from the previous financial year in Programme 1 Asset Management. The popular reallocation comes up in this department again to the value of 26.5 million, with all 4 programs of provincial treasury having deferred about 10% of their baselines from the main appropriation, whilst Programme 2, Sustainable Resource Management and Asset Management, loses a further 2.7 million environments and shifts. So this provincial treasury would have had approved a budget of 359.7 million in the main appropriation, as we listened to the minister was presenting it here in this House early in the year. And now, due to poor and underspending of a treasury of this province, a 25.3 million could not be spent and now is cleverly registered as reallocations to the next financial year, 2026-2027. A smart way to not surrender funds and inviting an audit finding of poor and unspent funds that, as we know, would not look good to the DA PR record of clean audits. What is clean is not so clean after all. I think this is worth mentioning. During the annual reports, we heard that the department underspent its budget by 11.7 million, largely due to persistent vacancies and delays in procurement, and that was the second consecutive year. Speaker, can I have my time?
I'm just informing the table staff that you can't see your time. We can see it at the table, but I wanted it displayed. Okay, so then please take your seat. Please just take your seat. We're dealing with that now, but just so that for your own record, it's on 3 minutes and 29 seconds remaining. You can trust me absolutely, because I'm guided by the table staff.
That's a scary business. Let me continue, Speaker. Where do you enter? Yet here we stand.
Order, members, there's a member on the floor.
Again, with underspending of COE from 11 sub-programs of the 5 programs of provincial treasury, driven not by efficiencies, but by major surrenders and deferrals. Most striking is all 4 programs of provincial treasury surrender about 26.5 million to the Department of the Premier to establish organizational development capacity on a revised recruitment plan. Treasury is literally outsourcing its own institutional reform to another department. The biggest reductions are in the core oversight of sustainable resource management for about 12 million, asset management responsible for SCM oversight, and financial system losing more than 6 million. Financial governance, the heartbeat of internal controls and compliance across the province, is reduced by nearly 3 million. These are the very programs meant to guide, support, and hold departments and municipalities accountable at a time when municipalities in the Western Cape face financial instability, revenue decline, and escalating audit risk. The Treasury is shrinking its oversight muscle. We have to ask why, especially when local government elections is around the corner. Of interest is the centralization. We hear the minister now complaining about centralized procurement. Whilst in this particular provincial government, human resource function is centralized in the office of the Premier or the Department of the Premier. And the DA drives this under their charade of devolved powers from national government. I guess when done by the DA, it is right. How does the department responsible for fiscal oversight lose the internal ability to manage its own organizational structure? I mean, you take all these different departments, they can't decide on their own COE, they can't decide on their own human resource issues. They must always go and report, to the big man. This raises questions about Treasury's independence, stability, and strategic coherence. And while critical oversight functions are being reduced, Treasury's own reform projects are delayed. When we look at page 29 of the MTBPS under table 2.1, summary of national budget reforms, it includes about 6 sections. And in page 31 under table 2.2, alignment between national and Western Cape budget reforms. And in this, only 5 of these sections reflected with planning and budget alignment removed from the provincial reform program. This section of reform is explained as focusing on aligning budgets with medium-term development plan of 2024 to 2029, which the DA is a signatory to in the GNU. And the core reform objective is improving coherence between policy intent and resource allocation, and an implementation approach that is about prioritization of programs, supporting strategic priority and inclusive growth and job creation. So clearly these are not an interest to the DA. That's why they had to exclude this particular priority of the national reforms. Therefore, it is based on those reasons, Speaker, that we reject this adjustment budget. It fails to restore confidence, it fails to address known weaknesses, and it fails to strengthen the very institution tasked with protecting the financial health of this province. I so move. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Nkondlo. I recognize the Honorable Petrus.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, Patriotic Alliance take note that almost 10 million rand has been surrendered to the Department of the Premier to establish additional organizational development capacity. We hope that this will speed up the crucial appointments within the departments. We also note that there is an amount of 6 million rand allocated for the appointment of expert support for the implementation of alternative and blended finance. If possible, can the APC explain what the role of these experts will be? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Petrus. I recognize Honorable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the province has an old trait of underspending budgets in sectors which largely affect poor communities. These include health, education, and community safety. There is no effort to ensure that money translates into better service delivery. It ignores key factors such as balancing growth with social needs, managing inflation impacts, and its failure to prove that crime prevention strategies such as LEAP is effectively reducing crime. Al-Jamaa calls on the province to stop diverting money from sectors for the upkeep of safety initiatives such as LEAP, which has proved to be ineffective. We call for more transparency in budget approvals and on the resource allocation. There should be no gaps between available funds and the growing need. Crime, which impacts negatively on the economy, and accountability as to why the province fails to deliver improved services to the community, especially
Honorable
in
Brinkhuis,
the
your time has expired. Thank you very
health and
much.
safety sectors.
I recognize the Honorable Van Wyk.
Honorable Speaker, the National Medium-Term Budget Policy Statement and the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill lay the essential groundwork for the Western Cape's Adjustment Appropriation Bill we are debating today. It is clear that South Africa must urgently restore its fiscal credibility by stabilizing its debt trajectory and recalibrating expenditure. The enormous cost of this national debt is clear. Debt service costs now absorb 18% of total budgeted expenditure. The direct implication is that core services like education, health, and local government receive less of the total revenue available. The MTBPS also acknowledged the uncomfortable reality As a country, we continue to struggle with an anemic GDP growth rate of below 1% per annum. This problem is rooted in deep structural challenges, persistently low capital investment and pervasive structural inefficiencies. To manage constraints, the national government has introduced spending reviews and the Targeted and Responsible Savings, known as TARS, program intended to scale down or close low priority and unperforming programs. Honourable House Chair, this critical financial background forces the Western Cape to act decisively and examine how we change gears to scale for growth. The national processes for this adjustment appropriation have been significantly delayed. This has resulted in provinces having a very limited window, barely 2 months before the March 26 year end, to implement vital spending programs. Our ambitious Growth for Jobs, G4J, strategy launched in April 23 targets a 1 trillion rand economy by 2035. As of Q2 of 2025, our GDP stands at an estimated 674 billion rand. Examining the G4J metrics reveals a stark challenge. National economic growth remains below 1%, while our population growth has exceeded this level. Simply put, we are all getting poorer every year. This failure is driven by national policy uncertainty, the inability of the ANC to relax legislative and regulatory constraints, collapsing state capacity, and the lingering effects of state capture. Moreover, the Western Cape is experiencing significant in-migration from other provinces, placing an increasing strain on service delivery and the infrastructure of the city of Cape Town and the various municipalities. To enable and promote economic growth and employment for our citizens, this adjusted appropriation adopts a deliberate strategy to shift or realign certain expenditure into the 2026 medium-term expenditure framework. This provides a planned and solid financial foundation for the successful implementation of our economic development program. A total of 983 million will be realigned. Of this, 736 million is dedicated to education for public ordinary school education and infrastructure development. This assists education in managing educator compensation and learner-teacher ratios in a structured, planned and sustainable manner from the 2026 MTEF. At Provincial Treasury, the realigned funds will support the recruitment of strategic expertise for the blended, alternative and blended finance program. This innovative program will undertake projects that provide crucial additional infrastructure development for our growing regional economy. Furthermore, we have made provision for assistance in critical areas relating to energy, water and sanitation infrastructure, refurbishment and resilience. With provincial data indicating potential growth of 1.2% for 2025 and 1.6% in 2026, it is not just appropriate but necessary that we shift gears to prepare for scaling for growth. The Western Cape holds a distinct advantage. We have many municipalities who consistently receive clean audits. This demonstrates good governance, sound financial management, and effective administration. Our next task is to instill a strong economic growth focus into these municipalities to actively promote local economies and employment. The Western Cape and our three secondary cities of George, Drakensberg, and Stellenbosch have been at the forefront of driving infrastructure development. By way of powerful example, the draft financial results for municipalities for the year ended 30 June 25 show that the capital expenditure for these three secondary cities alone amounted to 2.3 billion rand, or 29.6% of the total 7.8 billion rand spent across all 19 of the country's secondary cities. The G4J strategy is already delivering significant progress, evidenced by 819 megawatts of installed solar PV capacity, an increase in international tourist arrivals of 11.8% from 24 to 25, and the value of building plans approved in the first 9 months of 2025 reaching 26.4 billion rand. These are but examples. Yet impediments persist. A recent report highlighted how municipalities have been hindered in their efforts to acquire electricity from independent power producers since 2020. It is precisely in the context of these continuing impediments, where the ANC has been slow to introduce enabling reforms, that the Western Cape must continue to lead. We will aggressively drive infrastructure investment, excellent service delivery, education, health, and a safe environment, along with the active facilitation of private investments so that our economy and employment can truly scale and grow. The DA supports this budget. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member van Wyk. I recognise the Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I will start by accepting that Member Nkondlo misses me, and I do usually love being in the House. However, I am recovering from minor surgery and received permission to be online, but I do hope to be back soon in person at sittings again. Regarding some of the allegations regarding poor planning and underspending, this is a combination in the programs regarding delayed national budget process, as well as, for example, at the 2 strategic posts, we went through the full HR process in order to appoint the respective contract structure without our support from the Department of the Premier. We do work with them on the restructuring, and we're not shrinking our oversight muscle. We actually want to expand it. And the reason we need to restructure is step 1 was we now tabled and launched this alternative and blended financing framework. So now we need to restructure so that by the time that those applications and business plans get to us, we need to be able to actually implement. So we're also looking towards the long-term planning of where we want the Treasury to go. So we need to look at that as well. In terms of the reference made to page 31 of the MTBPS relating to table 2.2 regarding aligning to national reforms, we are indeed aligning to national reforms. And when we look at what those items are that National asked us to look at, it's the topics of targeted and responsible savings and spending reviews. We're already doing spending reviews, for example, in our province. Fiscal credibility and fiscal anchors, and members can read up on that page there on those items. The planning and budget alignment, infrastructure reforms, gender responsive budgeting, and climate budget tagging. So we are to indicate to National how we are aligning. Member Petrus asked me just to explain a little bit more on the expert support that we need. So, for example, the ABF framework was obviously step 1 in terms of launching. We also had workshops with the departments online in order to assist them with understanding the framework. We had a physical launch of the document after the cabinet approved it to make sure that people understand what is in this document. We have issued circulars to departments to explain how they can submit applications in order to access on-balance sheet items, because now we have established our provincial loans coordinating committee in terms of the law, because it's a law that governs how you go out for loans. So Member Petrus, in order to be able to land these type of items, if such a loan lands and when it lands, we need, for example, liability managers to make sure that we do not overextend ourselves in terms of loan capacity. We need contract management to make sure that whatever that contract is that we go into, that we're able to service it. We need to make sure that we are prudent essentially with our finances. So all of the technical capacity, including being able to analyze and assess the applications, it all relates to the future of where we're going in terms of the Treasury and how we can better support our departments and even municipalities in some cases, because the ABF framework also makes provision for municipalities to work with the province. Member Brinke asked regarding the budgets for service delivery. Of the 89 billion rand budget for this main year, including the adjustment, 32.7 billion goes to education. Health gets 32.6 billion. As a totality of our budget that goes to social services, and when I say social services, I include education, health, social development, and our housing projects, it's more than 80% of the Western Cape government budget goes to those programs. This also is separate to the fact that our safety programs, so when you take up all the safety programs across government, 3.955 billion rand in our budget is for safety programs. That's almost 4 billion. We have not diverted money away from service delivery for safety. Safety as a pillar of our Western Cape government provincial strategic plan is important to us. It is important to our residents, but we are not diverting money away from service delivery. Regarding the question regarding transparency and budget approvals, the budget House Chairperson is a bill currently in front of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. It was tabled. It gets scrutinized before committees, it gets published, it gets gazetted, and if passed by this House today, it becomes law, and then the Premier must sign it into law. It's probably the most transparent mechanism in a government to show what you are doing. It is written in the National Treasury format in terms of the PFMA for provincial budgets, and it gets benchmarked by the National Treasury as a budget, and the National Treasury does it every single year. To House Chairperson, I want to thank all of the committee members for the robust engagement. It's always wonderful. I love speaking and engaging on financial matters. It's always quite fun for me. And I hope it's fun for the rest of the committee members. The committee chairperson, thank you so much, Chairperson Van Wyk, for your insight. Our Head of Treasury, Ms. Yolanda Cantana, our CFO, Ms. Anna Marie Smith, our teams in the Provincial Treasury, thank you for your professionalism, your support, and the hard work that goes into putting budgets and budgetary related documentation. Team finance partners across national, provincial, and local government spheres for your collaboration with us as a Treasury. We really appreciate your support. And to my ministry team under the leadership of Dr. Grant Caswell for your support and strategic advice in this past year. The work, I said previously, House Chairperson of the Treasury is often unseen, but you feel it in the services that we deliver, we feel it in the budget, and I request and hope sincerely, Honourable House Chair, that this House will support the vote. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Baartman. And honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. And Minister, we do wish you well and a speedy recovery. I recognise the Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Acting House Chair. Honourable House Chair, I'd like to move that the House, in terms of Rule 22, rearranges today's order paper by giving precedence to Vote 2 and placing it before Vote 9 for the purposes of today's proceedings. I so move.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Any objections to the motion? No objections. Thank you very much, honourable members. The Secretary will then now read the 8th order of the day.
Debate on Vote 2, Provincial Parliament, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill 5, P52025.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I then recognise the Honourable Speaker.
Thank you
His
very
third
much.
year in office. Please
Thank you,
proceed.
thank you very much, House Chair. Honourable members, at the outset, allow me to reaffirm the strategic directions that guides the work of this provincial parliament. Our 5 strategic priorities: building a credible provincial parliament, improving and expanding services and public experiences, strengthening our core business of oversight, lawmaking, and public involvement, reinforcing support to members, and deepening organizational capability and culture. Honourable House Chair, these priorities speak to our vision, a provincial parliament that deepens democracy, strengthens accountability, and remains accessible, transparent, and in touch with the people of the Western Cape. House Chair, every plan we adopt and every adjustment we make must be understood through this lens. It is within this strategic context that we consider the adjustment budget for 2025-2026. This financial year represents the foundational year of the 7th Parliament. House Chair, foundational years requires the establishment of systems, of baselines and frameworks that will shape institutional delivery for the remainder of the term. House Chair, these adjustments before us reflect the realistic sequencing of this foundational work. I wish to emphasize that our strategic priorities remain firmly on course. Our APP indicators remain intact and achievable. House Chair, only 3 of these strategic initiatives are affected, solely due to the timing of the procurement processes, facility availability, and required preparatory sequencing. And that those include the public perception survey, the organized stakeholder survey, and the chamber audiovisual upgrades. These timing adjustments result in the realignment of only 3 APP indicators, and all other indicators remain unaffected. Honourable House Chair, the adjustment also reflects careful stewardship of public resources. Under expenditure in a foundational year arises predominantly from timing and the paced implementation of major institutional initiatives. Rollovers and retained revenue have therefore been applied responsibly to honor unavoidable obligations and to maintain operational continuity. The WCPP's budget has increased by 5.084 million from 211.083 million, excluding direct charges, resulting in an adjusted appropriation of 216,887 million for 2025-2026. Honourable House Chair, these increases is driven primarily by rollovers from the previous financial year. 3.97 million in underspending on voted funds and 1.112 million in overcollected own revenue. To alleviate funding pressures over the medium term, the WCPP has also revoted additional underspending from 2024-2025 to the 26-27 financial year and 27 and 28 financial years, partially covering future funding needs. I'll share the majority of the rollover amount has been allocated to Programme 4 under member support, comprising of 3.972 million rand, 1.563.479 million to settle outstanding constituency allowances from the previous financial year, and 2.408 million to cover an increase in allowances in line with the amended members' facility guide. The 1.112 million under revenue retention it's broken up into from Programme 1 for 207,109 rand to fund a leave gratuity payout for the previous secretary, and under Programme 4 under member support, once again 904,891 to fund increases in allowances as per the amended members facility guide. Honourable House Chair, these adjustments reinforces our commitment to prudent financial management, ensuring that essential services, member support, and institutional obligations remain adequately funded. They also ensure that as we conclude this foundational year, the WCPP is positioned for a strong implementation phase in 2026-2027. In conclusion, Chair, our strategic vision is intact. Our foundational systems and frameworks are in place. Our spending remains aligned to our priorities and mandates, and the adjustments before us ensures that we enter 2026, 2027 ready for execution of our 5-year strategic plan. House Chair, it is an honor for me to table the adjustment for vote 2 for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament on behalf of all the members of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I recognize the Honourable Barnes. Order members, we're almost there.
Nkosi Sihlalo, ngomoya wecawa, ngomoya omhle. Mandithathe lithuba nam ndifake amagama amanye amabini awathathu. Sihlalo, today we begin with a quote from the Ethiopian proverb which says, "He who learns teaches." Close quote. This timeless wisdom reminds us that knowledge is a resource meant to be shared for the advancements of society. I invoke it today because this legislature must be willing to learn from others and their experiences, to look beyond our own borders, and to adopt practices that strengthen our capacity to serve the people of the Western Cape. In that spirit, I examined the Gauteng 2025 adjusted estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure. What I discovered was a striking and deeply revealing about how different provinces value their legislatures. Here in the Western Cape, our provincial legislature receives a modest allocation of 216 million. In Gauteng, the legislature is allocated 1.2 billion. Their legislature is funded at a level just 300 million below the office of the Premier. It receives more than provincial treasury, more than the Department of Agriculture, Cooperative Governance, and more than Department of Environment. This is not a coincidence, Sihlalo. It is a deliberate choice to invest in the institution that holds the executive to account. This comparison raises a serious and unavoidable question. Why is it in the Western Cape, the provincial parliament is the least funded entity in the provincial system? The only reasonable conclusion is that the executive has no desire to see strong and well-resourced independent legislature. A legislature without resources becomes a legislator without power. It becomes an institution that cannot fully execute constitutional mandate. It becomes an institution that exists in form yet in constraint of function and have already seen signs of erosion. Just weeks ago, Sihlalo, in November, a full sitting of this House was cancelled to accommodate the Executive's Investment Summit. In any healthy democracy, the legislature sets its own schedule and does not subordinate itself to the executive. The cancellation should alarm everybody who claims to defend the separation of powers. Turning to the adjustments before us, we observe several troubling patterns. Parliamentary support services is allocated 25 billion, an already limited amount that has now been reduced by more than 1 million. Public engagement receives 18 million, an amount wholly insufficient for a province earmarked by stark inequality, vast geography, and deep rural marginalization. Member support services receive 70 million, cushioned only by a modest 3 million rollover. Yet, when we compare this to Gauteng, where Members Affairs receives 232 million, this disparity becomes impossible to ignore. Sihlalo, in Gauteng, the budget for members alone exceeds the entire budget of this legislature. Something to think about. What prevents the Western Cape from reaching that level of investment? It is not economic hardships. It is not administrative incapacity. It is a question of political will. Instead of adopting national best practices, the Western Cape continues clinging on notion of exceptionalism. This constant instance of being different, on being smarter, on being separate from national norms, does not make governance stronger. It isolates this legislature and weakens institutional capacity. If fairness and equality are truly valued, then let us begin adjusting the composition of this House in line with the IEC principle of 1 member for every 100,000 residents. A province that demands fairness from national equitable share must demonstrate fairness within its own legislature. Chair, we must also address the legislature's internal management failures. Funds allocated for filling vacant posts are being shifted elsewhere due to underspending. This means critical posts remain vacant for extended periods. Some posts are advertised late and others are never advertised at all. The result is a thin staff complement, excessive workloads, and weakened oversight capacity. Functions as research, legal advice, interpretation committee support, and the processing of parliamentary questions are all compromised. When the absence of a single staff member can hold an entire oversight function, then we are no longer speaking about efficiency. We are describing a structural crisis. Hlalo, the budget for library services has been cut by 50% compared to the fifth administration. This weakens the research base of our oversight work and limits public access to information. A strong legislature requires knowledge infrastructure. Cutting library budgets is a step in the opposite direction. The reduction of more than 3 million in the compensation of employees further erodes institutional strength. A legislature cannot fund its own staff, cannot fulfill its constitutional duty oversight. These reductions affect the quality of reports, the efficiency of committees, and the timeliness of accountability mechanisms. Honorable members, a legislature that is weak cannot protect the public. A legislature that is underfunded cannot enforce accountability. A legislature that bends to the executive cannot uphold democracy. The budget before us does not strengthen the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. It entrenches its weakness. It shields the executive from scrutiny and limits the legislature's ability to act independently. Hlalo, these reasons in defense of a strong, capable, and independent parliamentary institution. The
Vance,
African
please
National
conclude
Congress
your time.
We reject the budget vote and we call for a full review of the legislature's funding
Thank you
model.
very much, Honourable Member.
Enkosi, Hlalo.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Member Petrus.
Thank you, Speaker. We believe, as the Patriotic Alliance, that the capacity of Parliament must be strengthened. It is important that we allocate more funding and resources for public engagement with communities and civil society. The Patriotic Alliance also appeal to Parliament for more funding and resources to assist cultural and public institutions with their public participation processes. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Speaker.
much, Honourable Member Petrus. I recognize the Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chairperson. Honourable members, I wish to express the Democratic Alliance's full support for Vote 2, the Provincial Parliament as contained in the adjusted estimates before this House. This budget affirms something fundamental. A strong democracy depends on a legislature that is credible, well-resourced, and able to do its work without fear or favour. Oversight, lawmaking, and public participation are the practical daily functions that require capable people, reliable systems, and disciplined financial management. And you don't need additional money to have disciplined financial management, reliable systems. The adjusted appropriation of the Provincial Parliament reflects a careful response to operational realities during the year. The adjustments are targeted. They deal with unavoidable rollovers, previously approved commitments, and the need to support members to fulfill their constitutional responsibilities effectively. Importantly, there are no changes to the core mandate or strategic objectives of this institution, which speaks to stability and good planning within this administration. As a committee, the Parliamentary Oversight Committee, we engage constructively with the administration on spending trends, program performance, and projected expenditure for the remainder of the financial year. What was clear to us is that the spending remains controlled, transparent, and aligned to the purpose of this institution. Where variants were made, they were motivated by operational need and supported by clear explanations. Where underspending occurred, it was largely linked to vacancies or timing issues rather than poor management. I want to place on record my sincere appreciation to the procedural staff of this Parliament, especially our procedural officer, Ms. Wasima Kamish Ahmad. I'm grateful for the contribution of all committee coordinators, the table staff, legal services, our finance officials, members' affairs, and the support personnel. Your professionalism supports the work of members every single day. Much of what you do happens quietly and under a lot of pressure. Yet this institution functions because of your commitment to excellence, and you do that on an efficient budget. I wish to thank the members of the Oversight Committee across parties. Our engagements were robust, respectful, and focused on strengthening the institution rather than scoring points. This is how oversight should always work, always anchored in the shared responsibility we have to protect the integrity of Parliament. To the management of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, thank you for your openness and constructive engagement with my committee. The willingness to explain decisions, provide detailed information, and respond to recommendations timelessly builds confidence in this vote and the institution as a whole. Honourable House Chairperson, through you, I acknowledge the Honourable Ayanda Barnes, the Chief Whip of the Official Opposition. She carries a title that unfortunately her caucus has not matched with seriousness, discipline, or engagement in this Parliament. In the words of Honourable Barnes, this is a structural crisis. Honourable House Chairperson, this budget enables Parliament to continue modernising its systems, strengthen public engagement, support committees, and ensure that members are properly resourced to serve the people of the Western Cape. In doing so, it safeguards the democratic spine of our province. For this reason, the DA supports this vote. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip. I recognize the Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, House Chair, and thank you very much to all the members for the contributions. Chair, I think it's important to, from the onset, state that parliaments across the country have 3 constitutional mandates: lawmaking, oversight of the executive, and public participation. When you look at the budget, the question that you should ask is, are these 3 constitutional obligations being met? The bells and the whistles and the glitz and the glamour shouldn't be part of that budget. Parliaments have an obligation to fulfill three functions, and we need to fund those functions. And I am comfortable to stand up in this house to say that, in fact, the WCPP is funding the 3 constitutional mandates that is required of a parliament in terms of the Constitution. With that being said, Chair, I think it's important to draw the comparison between Gauteng with 80 members and the Western Cape Provincial Parliament with 42 members. So when we speak about budget comparisons, Honourable Barnes, we need to look at the facts. So we can't compare 80 members to 42 members. And as the Honourable Barnes is aware, in the previous term, in this house, we debated and deliberated about the increase of the size of the legislature. It was, in fact, the opposition, the African National Congress, that did not want to support an increase in this legislature.
Order, members.
Honourable Chair, I think it's important that we put the facts on the table. It was the ANC that did not support the bill that was in front of this house. There was no.
Honourable members, order. Speaker, please take your seat. Chief Whip.
Honourable House Chair, it's not very often that I ask you to protect the Speaker, but please can I ask you to protect the Honourable Mitchell from the members opposite us? It's important that we listen to the Speaker deliver the facts, please.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Honourable members, honourable members.
Thank you, Chair.
Speaker, can you please take your seat? Honourable members, we are almost there at the end of the day. You had the opportunity to debate in this specific vote. Can we please allow the Speaker to conclude? Thanks, members. Please, Speaker.
Thank you very much. So that's the facts. That there was a process, there was a report to the House or to the committee, part of the parliamentary process, and it wasn't agreed to. On that same note, Chair, we are currently in that same process, and it's again in front of us of a committee. With that being said, Chair, there's a few other facts that I need to correct. I need to put the facts on the table, Chair. There is
Speaker, you are protected. Please speak through the chair. Please proceed.
We are speaking about vacancies and critical vacancies. Chair, I think it's important for the House to note that there's 118 funded posts, of which 108 are filled. And if you speak about critical posts not being filled, it's exactly because it's critical posts and with certain experience needed. So it's not that the process was not followed, the correct person for a particular position was not found. And then the process had to be re-advertised. And so again, the perception that's being created that critical posts are just left unfilled is absolutely incorrect. That same information, Chair, was shared during the interrogation or deliberation during the standing committees. Chair, I also think that I need to put under critical post, as explained during the engagement at the standing committee. Parliament undertook an OD review process that we explained, and we took the honourable members into confidence, and we explained that this is where we are heading. We are doing a structural review to see that this parliament speaks to parliaments across the world. So again, the perception that staff and the critical posts, it's absolutely not true. Chair, with regards to library services, again, Chair, library services in 2025, we have increased access to e-library services for members. That is the process that we have engaged the members on. So the fact that there's a reduction in under library services doesn't mean that the service and the resource is not available. It's now just electronic. So that finding that balance, if we speak about becoming a modern parliament, innovation, that's all part of it. And so again, the perception that library services is cut, resources and is not being provided is absolutely not true. It's now just digitized. But if the honourable member wants paper copies, we will make sure that that resource is also provided. Chair, with all of that being said, I want to take a minute to acknowledge the oversight from the Parliamentary Oversight Committee. Chair, I think it's important to note that although all members benefit from this budget, because it affects all of us, the amount of oversight and the interrogation from the opposition as well as the chair is commendable. The Chair, we are really held accountable. The administration really accounts. So thank you very much to the chairperson and to all the members of the committee. Thank you very much for the manner in which we could engage this year. Chair, it would also be remiss of me not to acknowledge the contribution of the new secretary to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament that joined the institution during this financial year. Thank you very much to you and the team for the work that you do daily, for driving and for supporting and for ensuring that the members are able to perform their functions. And thank you very much to all the 108 staff of the WCPP. Thank you very, very much for what you do every single day. In the various units, and then lastly to all the members, thank you very much, members, for making this parliament work across political divides. Because at the end of the day, and I always say this, it's always difficult to have this debate, in the House and on the floor, because ultimately Parliament is all of ours. It's not the Speaker's Parliament, it's our Parliament. It's our Parliament. And we all want Parliament to work and Parliament to function. So thank you very much for the support across the floor, and to my staff in the office under the leadership of Lorika Elliott. Baie dankie vir dit wat julle elke liewe dag doen om te verseker dat ek kan doen wat ek moet doen. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. The Secretary will now read the 9th order. Order, members, we are still in session.
Debate on vote 2, Provincial Parliament. 9. Debate on vote 9, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I recognize the Honourable Minister Bredell.
Thank you, Honourable Acting House Chair. Vote 9 is a combined budget of the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, as well as our conservation entity, Cape Nature. The original budget for 2025-2026 was 669,900,000 rand, and this is now adjusted to 648,200,000 rand. The total adjustment is a downward revision of 21,8 million rand for the 2025-2026 financial year. This is a relatively small adjustment, 3.2% of the original budget. The adjustment to the 25-26 budget are proposed in order to realign underspending for utilization over the 26 medium-term expenditure framework. These realignments and adjustments will enable the department to maintain service delivery commitments and manage resources more effectively across the MTEF period, including providing support to municipalities. Speaker, allow me to congratulate HOD Gerber and his staff at the department for again being recognized as one of South Africa's leading competent authorities for managing environmental impact assessments. This year, the department earning second place nationally in the 2025 EIA Performance Awards. The EIA are one of those silent cogs in the large government machine, but if it does not function effectively, new developments needed for growth and jobs focus will simply not get off the ground. So again, congratulations, and Premier, you can be very proud on this team. Speaker, on them, Speaker, and then allow me to congratulate also Dr. Ashley Naidu, Cape Nature CEO, and his personnel. This is one of the best, if not the best, state-owned entity in the country, and it continues to deliver excellent results to the benefit of our province in terms of conservation and ecotourism. The past year saw Cape Nature supporting the additional of 18 new conservation areas, adding more than 62,000 hectares of land to our conservation estate. This is an expression of long-term planning and long-term commitment to our precious biodiversity. And just to mention, the amount of work that goes into these kind of agreements is immense. Honourable Chairperson, compensation of employees decreased with 13.8 million rand, 13.898 million. This is mainly due to the delays of filling of funded vacancies. Goods and services decreased by 16.116 million. This includes the reclassification of 5.450 million for current and capital for air quality analysis. Transfers and subsidies increased by 1.559 million. This covers leave gratuities, 2.5 million for environmental and wildlife management support, and the surrender of 1.8 million relating to the RCEP program. Payments for capital assets increased by 6,679 million. This relates to the procurement of IT equipment, prior year commitments, and reclassification of air quality equipment funding and revenue retention. Speaker, this budget adjustment influences allocations across the 2026 to 2029 MTF-EF period. Key focus areas include modernization of the environmental impact assessment system. Although we're second in the country, we know there's still room for improvement, so we'll keep on investing in that department. Then spatial mapping, the sustainable water program, the Western Cape the Western Cape Spatial Development Framework, coastal management lines, green economy ecosystem support, and township economic growth strategies, climate pathways planning, ecological infrastructure, and the financial data automation. Honourable Speaker, total planned allocations across the MTEF include 15,431 million in the 2026-2027 financial year, 5,351 million in 27-28, and 6,221 million in 2028-2029. Speaker, the 2025-2026 adjustment estimate reflects responsible alignment of funds, which will ensure that essential environmental and developmental priorities remain supported. It positions the department to be able to continue delivering on its mandate. Despite fiscal pressures, our focus remains on sustainability, efficiency, and the long-term resilience of the Western Cape. In closing, allow me to wish all the staff of the department and Cape Nature a well-deserved holiday. Enjoy time with your families and friends and recharge your batteries and come back in 2026 to continue with the important work. I thank you.
Baie dankie, agbare minister. I recognize the Honourable Stoffel.
Thank you, Speaker. Today, we confront the realities of the budget adjustment for the Department of Environmental Affairs and Developmental Planning. Once more, an adjustment that fails to live up to expectations. However, it is a reflection of the department's priority, its governance standards, and its commitment to environmental justice. There are real-life consequences for the collapse of services. Take the recent sewage crisis in Makaza. It lays bare the real-world consequences of systemic failures in the environmental governance and infrastructure oversight that this department is meant to prevent and remedy. For nearly a month, raw sewage has overflowed into homes, streets, and trading areas, leaving residents trapped in unbearable and risky, dangerous conditions, forced to navigate through filth just to move about their community. This disaster, believed to have originated from a burst sewer pipe and now entering its fourth week, says Viola, demonstrate how environmental degrading and public health threats are inflicted on the most vulnerable when effective planning, preventive maintenance, and intergovernmental coordination are absent. You can say what you want because you don't feel it. This department budget was reduced by 21,776, mainly due to slower than anticipated filling of posts, realignment and earmarked funds, and surrendering of funds for delayed projects. This is particularly concerning given the reported staff shortage in critical units such as air quality monitoring and waste policies. The department workforce planning appears inefficient, raising questions about its ability to deliver on its mandate. Speaker, whilst this department fails year after year to fill critical vacancies in environmental enforcement, waste management, biodiversity monitoring and planning oversight, we now learn of yet another governance lapse under its political leadership. The alleged overpayment of councillors in the Bergrivier municipality. The minister himself confirmed that the municipality have over extended period paid councillors above the prescribed limits, resulting in irregular spending whilst our people is drowning in the streets. Expenditure significant enough to trigger a Section 32 process under the MFMA. Although the municipality eventually took corrective action, the fact that such overpayments occur and persisted until flagged in 2022 raises serious question about the oversight environment within which municipalities operate and the political accountability exercised by the very leadership responsible for the department. This failure reveals an administration that is alert when it comes to cutting posts and tightening budgets, yet asleep when public funds flow irregular to officials. The minister response date 5 December 2025 closed the matter and if were the purely administrative, but for our communities like Makaza, such incidents deepen a pattern of weak oversight, blurred accountability lines, and misplaced priorities. Speaker, we see a rollover of 3.2 million for IT upgrades and environmental management initiative. Yet procurement delays and projects backlog tells us these rollovers are not signs of progress, but symptoms of a department unable to implement its plans on time. Even more telling is the shifting of 526,000 to the Department of the Premier for the appointment of a business analyst to automate finally processes. On paper, automation sounds modern, efficient, but in reality, its shift confirms that the department's internal systems are so weak that it must outsource core financial functionality rather than build capacity within its own walls. Whilst in Program 1, administration presents the clearest evidence is misalignment between planning and execution. We see 474,000 are realigned for digitization, whilst as at the same time 3.037 million is cut from compensation of employees. The same pattern repeats in Program 3, compliance and enforcement, which losses 827,000 from its personal budget, despite already being severely understaffed. At a time when illegal dumping, non-compliance with air quality standards, and waste management failures plague communities across the province, cutting the very personnel responsible
Honorable
for
Stoffel,
enforcement
your time has expired.
Speaker,
Honorable Stoffel, your time has expired.
Speaker,
Agbare Petrus,
I can't hear you. But
is there a
you
point of
allow,
order?
if yes, may I speak? Because I couldn't hear you earlier. There was no
Kan u
sound.
hoor nie?
There was no sound, Speaker.
Oh, nee, Agbare Petrus, ek het gewag dat die lede in die huis klaar met hulle dialoog oor die Honorable Maree.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this vote is fait accompli and has already been decided, but the Freedom Front Plus registers its opposition to it on principle. The natural environment is too an important provincial asset to function without the full protection and backing of the Western Cape's constitutional armory to safeguard it. A political decision not to even consider a future commissioner for the environment will continue to hamper the optimal function of the department as it struggles to fill vacancies for longer periods of time. The excuses by the minister during committee deliberations that there's not enough money, would cost too much, are similar to the former Premier Helen Zille, who refused to appoint the Children's Commissioner during her 2 terms in office. And today we have a Children's Commissioner who has to make up for the lost years.
Honorable
of,
Marais, please take your seat. Honorable Chief Whip, is there a point of order?
Honourable Speaker, yes, I'd like to pose a question to the member if he allows.
Honorable Marais, are you prepared to take a question?
I'm not prepared to take a question. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Marais. The table staff has just also informed me that the time has expired. So I recognize the Honorable Bryant.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, today I'm rising in support of vote 9, which really speaks to what a government can do when it's focused and driven by a sense of purpose. But I think before I start, and I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible because I know this is the last vote of the day, I think it's important to speak to the very serious issue that was raised by Member Stoffel in terms of the sewage spill in Makaza. And it's terrible to hear that that has been going on for over a month. And I sincerely hope that she's taken it up with the ANC ward councillor, Lucky Mbiza, for Ward 96, who is the ward councillor for that area. And I'm sure that he is working
Honorable Brian, please take your seat.
those issues.
Order. Honorable Lecker. Order. Honorable Lecker, I wish to remind you that interjections are allowed, but from your own bench. Order. Honorable Nkondlo. Honorable Nkondlo. Colleagues, we are two speeches away to conclude the business for the day. Honorable Brian, you may continue.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And it's very easy, Speaker. If for those who don't know, the City of Cape Town has what's called a service reporting system, whereby anybody can go and log a service delivery complaint. And most ward councillors across the City of Cape Town make use of that and log complaints when they arise. So, for instance, a sewage spill, a pothole, and those often get resolved quite quickly. So, as I say, I'm sure the local ward councillor is making strides in resolving that issue on behalf of his community. Speaker, as mentioned, I had a longer speech, but I'm going to keep it short. And I am going to say that in the Western Cape, we understand a very simple but profound truth, which is that good environmental governance is an investment. It's an investment in jobs, an investment in tourism, an investment in community safety, and an investment in the long-term resilience of our
Honorable
province.
Brian, please take your seat. Can I please ask Honorable Lecker, Honorable Nkondlo, Honorable Walters, and Honorable Masipa? You are creating a disturbance for the member on the floor because the four of you are engaging across the floor. You are engaging across the floor and there's a member on the floor. Can I please ask that you allow the member that's on the floor to make his contribution? Honorable Bryant, my apologies for the disturbance around you. You may continue.
Thank you, Speaker. So to conclude, this is why with conviction, with confidence, and with a deep belief in the future of the province, I proudly support the Adjustments Appropriation Budget Vote 9. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bryant. Agbare Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, yeah, any sewage is a serious issue. I just want to ask the Honourable Member Stoffel that in the future, did she also lay a complaint? We've got the green scorpions, we've got people to send. We don't have to wait for these kind of debates because it needs attention, and we in court with various municipalities because of sewage spills. We cannot allow that. Our residents deserve better, but we must be serious to solve these issues. And I know the Standing Committee Chairperson is passionate about the environment, is passionate about these things, and that is what he's saying. Hold the people accountable who's in the ward elected to do that, and lay the charges with the green scorpions. Then on the overpayment of councillors, it's definitely within a DA-run council because they've dealt with it, and the councillors has paid it back. So if it was an ANC council, I can tell you, first of all, they will never pay back and the money will just disappear. To the Honourable Marais, and I expected this again, and Honourable Chair, if they can convince me that a commissioner will add value, then it's fine. I don't know why we then will have elections anymore, because we might as well run the country through commissioners. But in any case, in the Honourable Member in the Standing Committee, he started off by saying that the Environmental Commissioner will stop informal settlements. Now, well, then he's got a different role
Do
for
not
the Environmental
misquote.
Commissioner. But let me just, because the member wasn't part of the 2020 debate on this, now you must recall that the ANC was 9 years. The ANC was 9 years in government in this province. They've never adhered to that clause.
Don't
Order.
trust the ANC, Minister.
In
Can I just,
2020,
Minister, please take your seat. Honorable Marais, if you choose to participate, Honorable Lekker, I'm on the floor. Honorable Lekker and Minister Simmers. Colleagues. Colleagues, I was on the floor. I was addressing Honorable Marais. Honorable Marais, if you choose to participate in the sitting through the hybrid system, in terms of Rule 40, no interjections are allowed. So you can't unmute yourself to interject and participate. It's against the rules. So can I please caution you not to do so again? Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you. Honourable Chair, yeah, the Honourable Marais also mentioned that the Environmental Commission is also about money. It is about money. In 2020, that office would have cost us 12.5 million rand. Today, it might be even double. But in 1998, there was numerous legal and laws that was amended and changed. So there's currently an overlap and a duplication of the roles and the function for the commissioner. But let me give the honourable member just what has happened since 1998. Before 1998, and that's why this commissioner was put in the Constitution. Thereafter, we've enabled a National Environmental Management Act, a Spatial Environmental Management Framework Act, a Protected Areas Act for Biodiversity Act, a Air Quality Act, an Integrated Coastal Management Act, a Waste Management Act. Planning legislation include the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act and the Western Cape Land Use Management Planning Act. In the terms of government, there is the Public Protectors Act, the Promotion of Access to Information Act, and the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act. So there's a lot of legislation, and this is just a couple of them that will put in place after the draft of the Constitution. The Commissioner would also not have any powers to investigate any complaint against the national government or private entities. The Commissioner would not be a decision-making body regarding environmental authorization, nor would it be an appeal body. So maybe we must just get clarity, because there will be a court case on this also. And if the courts force us to do that, we will need to find 50 million rand, anything from 25 to 50 million rand, from somewhere else in the budget. Because it seems like there's parties who think there's an never-ending purse. It's just like a bottomless pit. So we will either need to take it from education or health or social services, which we need money to support our people. So it's a big frustration that our members don't see that. But to end off, thank you to the member of the Standing Committee, the chairperson, Member Bryant. I know environmental affairs is very close to your heart. We respect your oversight role, from taking us on from tortoises to plant species to penguins to malgasse. And that's very important, Honourable Chair, because the success of a healthy biodiversity or the ecosystem.
Agbare Minister, can you please take your seat? Honourable Minister Lawrence, is that a point of order?
No, to my colleague, Minister Bradell, Honourable Bryant is worried about extinct species. Maybe you must start looking after the ANC who's becoming an extinct species in the Western Cape.
Honourable Minister, that is not a point of order. That is not a point of order. Minister, you may continue.
That will keep him busy for the next 12 months. Very busy. Honourable Speaker, so for myself and the department, I want to thank the chairperson for holding us accountable for protecting the environment, for protecting our biodiversity, because our biodiversity plays a crucial role in our jobs program and in protecting a healthy environment for our citizens. Lastly, to my ministry, thank you very much for helping me, for understanding and supporting me. It's a real privilege to be part of this department. I thank you.
Baie dankie, agbare Minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. The Secretary will read the 10th order of the day.
Consideration of votes and schedules, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
I have to announce that there are currently 33 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. Parties have an option of making a declaration now to cover all the votes for 3 minutes. The ANC.
First take the others for clowning classes. Maybe we shall support the declaration of the ANC. Honourable Speaker, the African National Congress rises to place on record a clear and unequivocal position that we do not support this Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill. Our stance is grounded in evidence, in principle, and in defense of the people of this province, who deserve a government that uses public resources to expand opportunity, not to shrink it, to address the imbalances of this particular province, and a budget that is able also to ensure that it deals and confronts inequality. With our full support of the Division of Revenue Act, we recognize and appreciate the significant investment made by national government to strengthen service delivery in the province. The province has received about R1 billion in additional resources, including 496.5 million through national conditional grants and 573.5 million through the provincial equitable share. These allocations support ECD and stabilizes HIV services after PEPFAR's withdrawal. Fund the revitalization of key health facilities such as Klipfontein and Belha hospitals. Correct the formula error in the National Tertiary Services Grant and provide nearly 80 million for road maintenance following provincial disasters. Beyond this, national government has allocated a further $1 billion in equitable share funding to protect teachers, health professionals, and unemployed doctors from austerity pressures. Honorable Speaker, national government has done its part. The question before us is what this provincial administration has chosen to do with these resources. Instead of prioritizing service delivery and employment, the province has implemented deep and deliberate cuts to COE budget amounting to 384 million across departments. This is not an accident. It is a policy choice aligned with the DA manifesto of lean government and executed under the guise of fiscal discipline. The consequences are severe. In page 36 of the MTBPS, it's confirmed that between March 2023 and March 2025, staff numbers in this government dropped from 90,565 to 86,285 due to strict headcount controls, meaning 4,280 public servants lost from this provincial government in just 2 years. With 384 million, the province could have created approximately 1,429 level 5 administrative post jobs desperately needed by young graduates in a province battling with unemployment. Instead, these opportunities have been extinguished. Honorable Speaker, the people of this province must know that national government has invested heavily in the province. It is the province that has failed to deploy these resources effectively and responsibly. The ANC cannot endorse a budget that underspends on jobs, suppresses frontline capacity, delays critical spending, and fails to rise to the moral and developmental challenges.
Honourable Kondlo, your time has expired.
We therefore do not support the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation.
Thank you very much. The Patriotic Alliance.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. We have put our positions, different positions on record during the discussions. We are not going to repeat it. We support the bill.
Thank you very much. The EFF. The NCC. The Freedom Front Plus.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus does not support vote 9, and we do not support vote 1 of the Premier. It is important, Speaker, that we first fulfill our obligation in terms of aligning our activities and our finances with the functions given to us from the Constitution. Not just the national Constitution, but also the provincial Constitution. And so when we function as a government, we must align ourselves with the constitutional provision that gives us an environmental commissioner. Speaker, I also want to emphasize the importance of this. During this time before Honorable Bosman interrupts me again, the Botsman Corp development scenario must never be repeated again. That happened in Stellenbosch. And that is why we insist that we ensure the independence of such a position. And if there is money to be obtained, then the Premier, as the head of this government, must find the money and make the provision. We need a Premier that is active, and also his department is a massive department. And so we need to make sure that we align ourselves and our priorities are in place. Speaker, in conclusion, I also want to thank all the other departments for their contribution, and also want to ensure that the Department of the Environmental Affairs and Development Planning notes that I appreciate all the efforts they've done, but being functioning outside the provisions of the Western Cape's Constitution was a political decision that affects their optimal functioning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Al-Jamal. ACDP.
Yes, Speaker, the ACDP support the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Good.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, although we support some of the adjustments and some of the votes, we cannot support the adjustment bill that slashes education, the education vote by more than half, almost R500 million, and therefore we're not supporting the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The DA.
Honourable Speaker, this budget protects what matters most while moving the Western Cape forward. For these reasons, the Democratic Alliance supports votes 1 through 14 of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, are there any objections to votes 1 to 14 and the schedules of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill? There is an objection, so all those in favour of the votes and the schedules of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill being adopted, please say yes.
Yes.
Those not in favour of the votes and the schedule of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill being adopted, please say no. I think the ayes have it. Votes and the schedules of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill has therefore been adopted. The Secretary will read the 11th order of the day.
Finalization of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, including the clauses and short title.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Finance.
Baie dankie, agbare Speaker. Ek vra hiermee dat die huis asseblief die Weskaapse aansuiveringsbegrotingswetsontwerp wet 5 van 2025 asseblief finaliseer.
Thank you very much. There being no list of speakers, are there any objections to the bill, the clauses, and the short title being finalized? Is there an objection? There is an objection, and I have to announce that there are, can I just get the 33? I have to announce that there are currently 33 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. All those in favour of the bill, the clauses, and the short title being finalised, please say yes.
Yes.
Those not in favour of the bill, the clauses, and the short title being finalised, please say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. The finalisation, including clauses and the short title of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B5 of 2025, is therefore approved. The names of the individual members present and their support or otherwise for the questions before the House will be recorded in the minutes of the proceedings to ensure a full record of the voting on this bill. The Secretary will read the bill.
Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
The bill will be sent to the Premier for assent. Honourable members, before I allow parties to address the House at the end of the session, I made a commitment that I would come back today with 2 rulings. I am only able to deliver 1 ruling because the member that I need to address is not in the House. But for the record, I will come back at the first sitting and I will deliver that ruling. That ruling will not fall away. Minister Meyer, may you please rise? Honourable members, during a sitting of the House on the 11th of December 2025, while the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Economic Development and Tourism was addressing the House, the Honourable Minister made the following statements, and I quote, TVK stole the money. They got conditional grants and they stole the money. You should have received the conditional grants. You stole the money. Hier in die huis gaan ons net die waarheid praat. No more lies, close quote. Honourable members, while ministers and members are entitled to express strong views, in their efforts to ensure clean governance and to hold government entities to account, such views must remain within the parameters of our standing rules and the parliamentary decorum that guide our conduct in this chamber. Our rules expressly prohibit members from imputing improper motives on another member or reflecting on the integrity or dignity of another member. Our rules clearly provide that statements such as the above-mentioned allegations can only be brought by way of a substantive motion. The repeated assertions by the Minister that, and I quote, "you stole the money," close quote, constitute direct imputation of criminal conduct on the part of the Honourable Member Michaels. As these allegations were not made by way of a substantive motion before the House, they fall outside what is permissible in a debate and therefore breach the rules and long-standing conventions protecting orderly and respectful proceedings. Accordingly, I rule that the Honourable Minister's remarks to be unparliamentary, and I hereby request that Honourable Minister Meyer withdraw the remark.
In the spirit of this House, and in the spirit of collegiality, and in the spirit of my West Coast history, heritage, and background, I humbly apologize and withdraw that statement.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister.
Honourable members, the Speaker will resume presiding over the House directly after this particular ruling, which I am going to deliver at this particular time. It's in respect to a statement by the Honourable Stoffel on the 25th of September 2025. Honourable Stoffel, are you able to rise at this time? I deliberated long and hard on this particular one. During the proceedings of the House on the 25th of September 2025, the Chief Whip, Honourable Gillian Bosman, alerted the Deputy Speaker to certain remarks made by the Honourable Stoffel while delivering her statement. At the time, I undertook to consult Hansard to apprise myself to what the Honourable Stoffel has said. I have now consulted an unrevised version of Hansard, and it appears the Honourable Stoffel made the following remarks in her statement when referring to the Honourable MEC Bredell. Honourable Stoffel stated that MEC Bredell applies double standards in dealing with municipalities, turning a blind eye when the DA is in charge, but quick to pounce when the ANC and its partners lead. That remark, honourable members, challenges the Honourable Minister's impartiality and attributes bias and unfair treatment to his conduct, which undermines his integrity as a public official. Furthermore, in referring to the conduct of Honourable Bredell as Minister, Honourable Stoffel stated that this selective interference exposes him as a serial meddler. This statement by Honourable Stoffel labeling the Honourable Minister as a serial meddler implies a pattern of improper conduct and political interference on the part of the Honourable Minister. In conclusion, it is observed that these remarks by Honourable Stoffel were not made as mere interjections in the course of debate, but were in fact delivered as part of a prepared statement. Standing Rule 59, subsection 1 is clear: no member may impute improper motives on or reflect on the integrity or dignity of another member or verbally abuse another member. Honourable Stoffel's statement clearly imputes improper motives on the conduct on the part of Minister Bredell and cast negative reflections on the member's integrity. But further, as Honourable Stoffels may well know, and I trust that she knows, Standing Rule 59.2 provides that if a member wishes to bring an improper conduct on the part of another member to the attention of the House, it should be done by way of a separate substantive motion comprising a clearly formulated and properly substantiated allegation. I therefore rule at this stage, honourable members, that the above-mentioned remarks by Honourable Stoffel are unparliamentary and order the Honorable Stoffel to withdraw them. I so rule accordingly.
I draw, Speaker.
Thank you so much. I recognize the Honorable Stoffel.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I never realized that as we sit here, we are targets. The Chief Whip of the DA just entered now to say our new target. And I want you to go back to that handset. Yes. We are not targets, Deputy. We are not targets.
Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I will consult Hansard and revert back if the need arise. But I do appreciate the Honorable Stoffel withdrawing a statement on the 25th of September. Honorable members, Honorable Stoffel is at a new point of order.
Yes, sir.
You may rise.
Deputy Speaker, with that threat, we can take it never lightly. Because anything can happen to us now. They said I'm a new range. Ne? No. It started with Rachel, Deputy Speaker.
And that one too.
And that one too. So this thing can never be just. Yes, please, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable-
And it's not the first time he's threatening us.
Honorable
It's not the first
Stoffel,
time.
I have
Who
noted.
do we think? What them KV as I?
Please take your
No.
seat. Honorable members, Honorable members, I have indicated already, Honorable Nkondlo, Honorable Lekker, the rules are very clear that if the chairperson, the speaker or the deputy speaker is presiding and he is speaking, the floor should not be speaking at this time, Member Nkondlo. Member Nkondlo. Member Nkondlo. Honorable members, I've already indicated what I will do in terms of the point of order that was raised by Member Stoffel. Are you raising a new point of order, Honorable Syed?
Chair, I mean, I had a totally new point I wanted to raise, but I've been prompted now. I think really, Chair, of the session. We're ending the year. We're ending robust discussion, and I think yourself and the Speaker began this component of the sitting in a very positive spirit. And our colleague, the Honorable Dr. Meyer, followed in that regard. And then the Honorable Stoffel also followed it. I think the two members really showed maturity, and we need to commend them, both Honorable Stoffels and Honorable Doctor. However, the Honorable Chief Whip has spoiled that. The Honorable Chief Whip of the majority party has spoiled that. And we need to be sensitive. People are watching. He's targeting women. Specifically saying that a woman is a target. Yet we sign to the CWP conventions and all of these things.
Honorable Syed.
Please, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I'm urging you. I'm not fighting. I'm urging you to show leadership. Don't only throw bureaucracy and be technical.
So this will
Show
be the leadership.
and clamp down.
This will
on
be the
Chief
leadership.
Whip for what he's doing, or you must come back and must look at the Hansard. If it's not in the Hansard, we'll have to look further because he knows how to say these things.
Please take
He
your
says
seat,
these
Honorable
things in an
Syed.
untoward manner and is getting away with it. This has to stop.
Honorable Syed, please take your seat. I've already ruled in that regard. Thank you so much. I've already ruled, and I will now allow the Speaker to continue with the sitting.
Honorable Side, is that a point of order?
Chairperson, on the 13th of November, because I heard that there were rulings now, on the 13th of November, I specifically asked also for a ruling to be made against the Honorable Premier. I still remember it was towards the end of the sitting during member statements, when the Premier indicated that I'm speaking rubbish. Now, we could say, yeah, it was not parliamentary, it was parliamentary, but I asked, and a commitment was made by the presiding officer to look back at the Hansard and to come back with a ruling. I see that that matter did not come here today. I'm not sure if it's still being looked at. If so, could I please just get some clarity? Thank you.
Okay. I'm sure that it's still being looked at, so I'll make a commitment that we'll come back at the next sitting when I deliver the other ruling, that we will then deliver that ruling if there was a ruling outstanding. All right, honorable members, as is our tradition, I will now afford representatives of parties an opportunity to address the House on the occasion of the end of the year, the ANC.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, as we gather in this august House at the close of another year, we do so to reflect, to look back with honesty, to look around with appreciation, and to look forward with determination. This moment invites us to acknowledge the challenges we have faced, the progress we have made, and the responsibility we continue to carry as public representatives. This year once again demanded much from all of us in our debates, our committees, our constituency work, and our oversight responsibilities. We have navigated the complexities of governance and political life with a shared commitment to serve the people of the province, despite our party political differences, which get very robust, as we have seen. I want to take a moment to pay a special tribute to our dear friend, our former Speaker, and the Social Development MEC, Shadna Fernandez, who sadly left us a few weeks ago, Speaker. Her service, her contributions, and dedication to the people of the Western Cape will remain etched in the history of this House. Reflecting on the 2024 general elections that brought us here, and looking ahead to the 2026 local government elections, we are reminded of the deep responsibility entrusted to each of us, including our councillors. Elections reaffirm the power of democracy and the importance of every South African's voice. But we know that democracy does not end at the ballot box. It is built daily through accountability, transparency, active citizenship, and continuous engagement with our communities. Service delivery remains the most tangible expression of democracy. It is the bridge between the House and the people we serve. Whatever our political differences, our shared obligation must always be to ensure that every resident, whether in the townships, informal settlements, rural villages, or urban centers, receives the dignity and opportunity they deserve. The inequalities that persist across our province demand our continued focus and collective resolve. As we look ahead, let us reaffirm our commitment to safeguarding the integrity of our democratic process. We must ensure that communities in informal settlements, peri-urban areas, and rural towns have equal access to services and infrastructure. Strengthening democracy means ensuring that every person feels seen, heard, and served. In this chamber, we have had moments of spirited debate, sharp disagreement, and robust collaboration. Moments when we recognize that service to the people outweighs party political contestation. These interactions across the aisle have strengthened our democratic institutions and enriched our work. Let us enter 2026 with renewed purpose and optimism. The vision of a better Western Cape, more equal, more just, and more united, must continue to guide us. Let us serve with integrity and diligence, always remembering that our ultimate accountability is to the people. I wish to extend heartfelt gratitude to the recently appointed ANC Provincial Task Team leadership, our MPLs in the ANC caucus, and to all colleagues across both sides of the House. We especially pay tribute to the dedicated staff of the ANC caucus, including our constituency officers, as well as the Western Cape legislature staff. Your professionalism, support, and unwavering commitment form the backbone of this institution. You enable us to fulfill our constitutional responsibilities, and for that, we are deeply grateful. As we conclude the year, let us move forward, not as adversaries divided by ideology, but as servants of the people, united by our love for this province and our shared belief in the principles of democracy. Thank you, and may each of you enjoy a safe, restful, and blessed festive season. May the coming year bring renewed strength and renewed commitment to our common purpose. I thank you.
Thank you very much to the Leader of the Opposition, the PA.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. May Hashem Almighty bless and protect all the people of the Western Cape and South Africa.
Thank you very much. The EFF, the NCC, the Freedom Front Plus.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we have come to the end of 2025 and we've run our race for the parliamentary program, and our work is still not done. The challenges that faces this province will continue, and we need to find solutions to the challenges. And it's only through debate, through reason, that we can engage and then find the solutions. No single political party will have all the answers that South Africa needs. It is when we find consensus and we debate, but with respect, that we will find the wisdom so that we can at least give our people the best chance of achieving their personal best as citizens of this province. I wish to thank you, Speaker, for tolerating us, for serving us, and for the 3 years that you have served in this particular position as Speaker of this House. I wish all the members of this House a safe festive season, and I hope that you come back in the new year renewed in strength and wisdom, and I can just pray that you will be safe and that your families will be safe. In conclusion, Speaker, I just want to reiterate that as members of this House, we are not enemies. We are opponents. We strive to serve our constituencies the best we can and to keep in line with our political party ideologies at all times. But robust debate is always welcomed, but it must be on the basis of respect and on the basis of reason. And so public trust must be restored, and we have that responsibility to do that in the Western Cape, at least. Thank you, Speaker, and thank you to all the staff for serving us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Marais. I recognize Al-Jamar, the ACDP.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Premier Ministers and members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, I wish to extend my sincere gratitude for the productive and engaging year in this House. It has been a privilege to work alongside colleagues who continue to prioritize the needs of all the people in the Western Cape we serve. We have debated important matters held the executive to account, and advanced the legislative work that strengthens governance in our province. I thank you, Speaker and Deputy Speaker, for the firm but fair leadership and upholding the decorum of the House. I thank the administrative staff under the leadership of the Secretary for excellent work done. To every member across party lines, your commitment to serve the people of the Western Cape is appreciated. Our collective efforts demonstrate that despite our differences, we share one common purpose, and that is to build a safer, better, and prosperous Western Cape. It is my prayer that Almighty God will keep us safe during the festive season and return us with renewed and refocused energy and strength in 2026. The Bible in Numbers, and I want to bless you with the following prayer in Numbers 6, verse 24 to 26. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious to us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Christians. I recognize Good.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, to the people of the Western Cape, the members of this Parliament, and the Secretary and staff that support us, we wish you all a peaceful and safe festive season. Speaker, it's a great privilege to serve as a public representative, and without the professional support and facilitation of the parliamentary staff, it would be very difficult for any of us to live up to the responsibility that comes with that privilege. So at the end of 2025, we say thank you to the Secretary and her parliamentary staff for the professional way in which they support the work that we do, and we wish everybody in this House a wonderful festive season. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize the DA.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, Premier, members of Cabinet, all members of the House, but I think most importantly, those for who we are here, the people of the Western Cape who've elected us to be their voice, no matter where they live in the Western Cape. As we rise today for a festive recess and judging since yesterday, I think many are actually quite excited for this recess that will be going on. We do close the chapter on a year that has really asked much of us politically, for those of us who serve on the executive, but also for those who exercise oversight over the executive, which are the members of this provincial legislature. But because we are governed by a sturdy ship and have a speaker that leads a sturdy parliament, this year has also rewarded us with genuine progress for all of the people in the Western Cape. 2025 has been a year of strengthening our systems through innovation. We have seen through the Department of Social Development what can be done by an innovative approach, which ultimately changes the impact that they can have. To make but one example, we have seen us strengthening our partnerships. We had a very successful regional leaders summit, which fed into the investment summit. And all of this shows our ability to partner beyond the borders of our own province and even our own country. But it's also shown our resolve as a government with a full mandate by the electorate of the Western Cape to deliver a capable, responsive, but most importantly, an accountable government for all of our people. Therefore, we maintained our position as the best governed province in the Western Cape by all independent matrices. We have been able to maintain our clean audit statuses, even as things are getting more difficult with the budgets getting less in certain instances that we receive from the National Department. We have ensured that our administration remains stable. We have ensured that our focus remains on real outcomes for all our residents across this beautiful province. In a national climate, we have also seen uncertainty at the national level. We have seen the Western Cape step up to the challenge which the Premier posed to us. And we have continued to offer consistency to our people, clarity in where we are leading them towards, but above all, they can still see competency flowing through this government that is governing them. But none of this, Speaker, also happens without the collective commitments of the members of this House. Our government departments, all of our administrative staff, but also our partners in civil society and the private sector. And therefore, as Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape, we wish to express our sincere appreciation to each and every one of you that I have now mentioned for your contributions that you've done for this year to ensure that we remain an effective provincial government. And therefore, this festive season, Speaker, also offers us a time to pause. Members of the executive, members of this legislature, but also as a community, given that there are forces who seek to divide us, we need to pause and reflect. Are we still heading in the correct direction in certain communities? It's also for us to reflect on where we come from and where we seek to go, but also to reconnect with our various constituencies, with our various communities, but most importantly, with our family and loved ones over this period. May it be a time to rest, a time for gratitude, and a time for unity for all who call this province home. And as we look towards 2026, we do so with a renewed purpose and optimism. We have important work ahead of us in 2026. We need to protect the democracy which we so all avail at a high price. We need to deepen our service delivery. We need to expand the opportunity for all of our people. And we need to continue to show the country what an honest, disciplined, and compassionate government and governance looks like and can achieve. And we are that beacon of hope for the rest of the country. So, Speaker, allow me to end with a verse that speaks to the spirit of hope and renewal that this season will bring for us. It comes from Psalm 65, verse 11. You crown the year with your goodness, and your paths drip with abundance. So may 2026 be a year crowned with goodness, progress, and continued service to all of the people of our province. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honourable members, before I conclude the business for the day, I did make a commitment earlier on that I would look at the speech made by Honourable Van Minnen after a point of order was raised by the Honourable Constable. Having had an opportunity to look at the speech, I want to rule that Honourable Van Minnen's speech did not breach the sub judice principle, and therefore it will reflect in Hansard as delivered. With that being said, that concludes the business for the day. The Secretary will now close the meeting and the House is adjourned.